is done with that, then we will start.
Okay.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, who is our beloved uncle, a direct disciple of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, who has been so kind and merciful upon us by being with us a few more times, sharing his love and wisdom with us. And today, again, we are very much privileged to have his association. And all glories to you, dear Samud Vaishnavi devotees, who are here every single day, Monday through Friday. We thank you all. And Prabhuji, we may put the verse on the screen and you may begin to speak. We have two texts today because 31 has no purport. So we have two texts today. Hare. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much for having me on, Prabhu. And all glories to the African Yatra. It's my privilege and honor to try to throw some light on the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So we can start. We can start by innovation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskricha Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasan Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. So we're reading from Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 31. The title of this chapter is Remembrance of Lord Krishna. So Vidura is hearing from Maitreya Muni, remembering the most intimate aspects of the Supreme Absolute Truth, Sri Krishna. So text 31. I will chant it and then we'll go to text 32. Vipanan Vishapanena Nigriya Bhujagadipam Utapya Payayad Gavas Tatoyam Prakriti Stitam Vipanan Vishapanena Nigriya Bhujagadipam Utapya Payayad Gavas Tatoyam Prakriti Stitam. Translation. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Yamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away. And after coming out of the river, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state. Text number 32. Ayajayat Gose Savena Goparajam Dvijotamai Vitasya Chorubarasya Chikirshan Sadvyayam Vibhu Ayajayat Gosavena Goparajam Dvijotamai Vitasya Chorubarasya Chikirshan Sadvyayam Vibhu. Ayajat, made to perform, Go Savena, by worship of the cows, Goparajam, the king of the cowherds, Dvija Uttamaya, by the learned Brahmins, Vitasya of the wealth, Cha also, Urubarasya, great opulence, Chikirshan, desiring to act, Satvayam, proper utilization, Vibhuhu, the great. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord Krishna desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows. And also he wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land, and the cows with the help of learned brahmanas. I repeat that. The Supreme Lord, Krishna, desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows. And also he wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land, and the cows with the help of learned Brahmins. Since he is the teacher of everyone, the Lord also taught his father, Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj was a well-to-do landowner and owner of many cows. And as was the custom, he used to perform yearly worship of Indra, the king of heaven, with great opulence. This worship of demigods by the general populace is also advised in the Vedic literature, just so people can accept the superior power of the Lord. The demigods are servants of the Lord, deputed to look after the management of various activities of universal affairs. Therefore, it is advised in the Vedic scriptures that one should perform yagas to appease the demigods. But one who is devoted to the Supreme Lord has no need to appease the demigods. Worship of the demigods by common people is an arrangement for acknowledgement of the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, but it is not necessary. Such appeasement is generally recommended for material gains only. As we have already discussed in the second canto of this literature, one who admits the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to worship the secondary demigods. Sometimes, being worshipped and adored by less intelligent living beings, the demigods become puffed up with power and forget the supremacy of the Lord. This happened when Lord Krishna was present in the universe, and thus the Lord wanted to give a lesson to the king of heaven, Indra. He therefore asked Nanda Maharaj to stop the sacrifice offered to Indra and to use the money properly by performing a ceremony worshipping cows and the pasturing ground on the hill of Govardhan. By this act, Lord Krishna taught human society, as he has instructed in the Bhagavad Gita also, that one should worship the Supreme Lord by all acts and by all their results. That will bring about the desired success. The Vaishyas are specifically advised to give protection to the cows and their pasturing ground or agricultural land instead of squandering their hard-earned money. That will satisfy the Lord. The perfection of one's occupational duty, whether in the sphere of duty to oneself, one's community, or one's nation, is judged by the degree to which the Lord is satisfied. Omagyana Timirandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. Is everyone online hearing me? Because I can't hear you,
Yes,
Prabhu.
yes,
Oh,
we can
okay.
hear you. Yes, thank
Oh,
you so
good.
much.
Oh, good. Okay. So here, Maitreya Muni, a great Muni, he's a walking Vidura through many aspects of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this chapter is devoted to an abridged version or a type of crystallization of the son of Mars Nanda's pastimes when he appears on this planet. Of course, he's the supreme absolute truth, supreme personality of Godhead, the Lord who's omniscient, omnipotent, and the source of all spiritual and material worlds. But here Maitreya is explaining and touching on demigod worship. Krishna tells Arjuna in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Kamastaista Ritagyana Prapadinte Niya Devata Tam Tam Niyatam Ashaya, that Prakritya Niyata Swaya, that the materialistic people in general whose intelligence is contaminated by material desires in the form of the modes of passion and the mode of ignorance, modes of material nature, they worship demigods for material fulfillment of their material desires. So, of course, here, Krishna is telling his father, Nanda Maharaj, the great devotee of the Lord in Vatsalya Ras, that there's no need. He preaches to his father and the cowherd men, the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Why are you worshiping Indra? Of course, Indra is very, very puffed up. The problem is sometimes the demigods, with all their powers, they sometimes forget the opulence of the Lord. They forget the superlative, the supreme position of the Supreme Lord. And here Krishna convinces Nanda, why are you worshiping Indra? After all, Krishna says, Nagita Name Vidu Surgana, Prahavramna Maharishaya, Aham Adirhi Devanam, Maharshinam Chasarvashaha. He tells Arjuna that none of the demigods know me in full. No one knows, even Krishna doesn't know himself in full, because he's constantly expanding his glories. So Name Vidu Suragana, these gods, they are just ministers. They are empowered by Lord Krishna himself. Sarvasya Shaktir Vividhai Vyashuyate, Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriya Cha. That all Shakti ultimately comes from Supreme Lord Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachit Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarvakarana Karanam. That Anadir Adir, he is the cause who has no origin. He's the origin of all origins. And he has no origin. He's originless. So he's the first move. And so why worship demigods? Antavatu palam tesham tadbhavati alpamedisham. He tells Arjuna that that's less intelligent because Krishna is the root of all existence. He says he's the root of all existence. In the Srimad Bhagavatam is also described in many verses. Ita taror mula nisechanena, yata taror mula nisechanena, tripyanti tatskanda bujo prashakaha, prano parascha yatendriyanam, sarvanam achute cha. That yata taror mula, just like the root of the tree is where all the ingredients and all the nutrition and the water has to go to sustain the tree. So similarly, Krishna, the root of existence, if you water or please Krishna, then it says here, Achucha Devanam, that all the devatas who are like branches and leaves on the tree, little branches, big branches, super demigods, lesser demigods, all these are on the tree of existence. They all become satisfied by Yagnartat Kamanani Atra, Lokoyam Karma Bandhanaha, Tadartam Karma Kuntaya Sadatad Bhava Bhavitaha. That Yagyavai Vishnu, that once we serve Krishna and perform all our duties as a sacrifice to Krishna, then all creatures within the entire universe are all satisfied, including Lord Indra, who is a subordinate to Krishna. Of course, Lord Indra has a history throughout the Puranas of being quite arrogant and also quite impetuous. One time, Gautama Muni went away from his ashram, and Lord Indra was very interested in his Gautama Muni's wife. So he came there disguised in the form of Gautama Muni and approached Gautama Muni's wife for a union. And of course, the wife, she was very attracted to Lord Indra previously during her marriage ceremony because he's young and handsome. And although she knew Indra was disguised as the great rishi, she still complied or surrendered to his desires. As a result, Gautama Muni, when he came back to his ashram, he understood that his wife had been disloyal to him and cursed her, as well as he cursed Indra as well. But he cursed his wife to take birth as a stone. And until Lord Rama came through the Dandakaranya forest and touched her, she had to be in that forest as stone for so many millennia. Of course, Lord Indra was cursed to have female parts all over his body, and he was very remorseful. So eventually he was given eyes all over his body. So this is Lord Indra. He also, we know that Maharaj Prithu was performing 100 horse sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yagyas, in ages gone by, long ages gone by. And on the 100th horse sacrifice, Indra came disguised as a Kapalika sannyasi. Kapalika sannyasis are tantrics, and they walk around with skulls, and they perform the black arts. So not really like a sattvic sannyasi. And this guy, he stole the horse for the sacrifice. Of course, Prithu Maharaj's son, Vijitashva, he chased this Indra throughout the universe and, pointed his arrow at Indra, and Indra released the horse. But this happened innumerable times, 2 or 3 times. Lord Indra persisted in stealing the 100th horse sacrifice. Why? Lord Indra didn't want Prithu Maharaj to be as glorious as he did by performing these 100 horse sacrifices. So, and even there within the demigods, what to speak of lust. Lord Indra was quite lusty and would send apsaras also to break the vows of like Vishwamitra Muni and others. He didn't want these great munis to become too powerful. He was afraid for his position. So this okay, are we back? Yeah. So this is described also, this kind of egotism is described and warned by Krishna, warned by the Goswamis. Rupa Goswami himself was being instructed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one should avoid certain weeds which grow around the devotional creeper in one's heart. These weeds are kuti nati, or diplomatic behavior. In political or diplomatic behavior, there's always someone trying to manipulate someone else. There's always envy there, friends and enemies like this. So kuti nati, or fault finding, seeing faults in others. There's also jiva hinsa, or causing anxiety to other living beings, or imposing misery on others, jiva hinsa. Then there's puja, another weed which grows around the devotional creeper and sometimes chokes up the creeper and causes the creeper to become very weak. And ultimately, sometimes one leaves devotional service. It's called puja, desire for name and fame and power and prestige and all these things. And that's seen sometimes amongst devotees also. And of course, another one is pratishta, or social position, similar to puja. Social position, desire for some rank, some high standing rank in the Hare Krishna movement amongst the Vaishnavas and so on, and not maintaining a status of a mentality of humility and tolerance, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Trinada Pisa Nichena, Turore Vasi Ishnuna. Amanina Manadina, always ready to offer respects to others without expecting respect from others, always remaining tolerant and always remaining humble. The Goswamis, Rupa Goswami and his brother Anutam, or Vallabha, when Lord Chaitanya was traveling towards Vrindavan, he didn't get there, but he went through a place called Ramakeli in West Bengal, where the Goswamis, Rupa and Anupam, were staying. At that time, they were employees, high ministers in the Muslim government. So when they met Lord Chaitanya, they actually took some dry grass and put it between their teeth, and they offered full dandavats to Gauranga Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sanatana Goswami was also there in Ramakeli. So this is the mentality that one should have. So Lord Indra, we learned that when Krishna is preaching to his father that don't worship Lord Indra, actually he's preaching atheism or materialism to his father. Krishna is saying karma mimamsa philosophy, that whether or not there's God or demigods, if one performs his duty perfectly and works hard, he will reap the fruits of his labors. What's the need for gods and demigods? So he's preaching this to Maharishnanda, and Maharishnanda is gradually becoming convinced. He also preaches that actually rain comes from the modes of passion. And so if we do our service as Vaishyas, the rain comes anyway. Sometimes the rain falls on the ocean where it's not needed. So regardless, and in spite of gods and demigods, rain falls even on the ocean where it's not needed. In this way, he's convinced his father, who relented. And then Krishna said, you should offer a wonderful feast, anakuta, a big feast of wonderful prasadam, sweets, sabji, puri, all kinds of varieties of foodstuffs offered to Govardhan Hill. And Krishna actually is in the form of a hill. He manifested in the form of Govardhan Hill. Govardhan, one who gives shelter to cows, Govardhan, like this. So this is very nicely being described here by Maitreya to Vidura. And this is what devotees love to hear. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha vijudavrataha Namasyantascha mam nityam nityukta upasate. Machita madgata prana bodhayantas parasparam katyantas chamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The devotees only want to hear the glories of Lord Krishna, which pacifies the mind, and one derives great happiness and bliss. Ramanti cha, tushyanti cha, ramanti cha. One derives so much satisfaction because Krishna is the source of all happiness, all bliss, all nectar. Krishna is his form, his pastimes, his name, his activities. All of this is Krishna, is full of bliss and happiness. And so when we absorb our consciousness in Krishna, we experience that blissful nectar derived from unalloyed excuse me, unalloyed devotion to the Lord. So this is what's going on. Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, and then in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we're hearing more and more a breakdown of the various points that Krishna describes in the Gita. So we learn in the fourth canto, the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj are described. So one of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj was guided by materialistic acharyas, materialistic Brahmins, Brahma Bandhus, or those Brahmins who are not really devotees of the Lord. Tat karmani pano vipro mantra tancha visharada avaishnava nasat guru vaishnavanam swapacho guru. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has quoted this verse that you may be Brahmin, you may have all the activities, doing all the activities of a Brahmin, performing sacrifices, accepting charity, studying the Vedas, all these things, but you may not get to the essence of all knowledge, which is Krishna or Vasudeva. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva parantapa, Vasudeva para yagya, Vasudeva para kriya, Vasudeva para yoga, Vasudeva param gati. Like Vasudeva Krishna, who was born as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison of Kamsa in Mathura, that he is the goal and purpose of everyone's life, of all our activities. So Maharaj Prachina Barishat, a descendant of Dhruva Maharaj, he was performing all kinds of karma kanda practices, and he was sacrificing many, many animals in these yagyas. Unfortunately, sometimes the yajnas were not perfect. The Brahmins would experiment and try to perfect their mantras. Sometimes the animals would not come back in a new form or a rejuvenated form. So Narada Muni wanted to convince Prachina Barishat that what you're doing is, first of all, it will not give you the goal of human life. Like your ancestor, Dhruva Maharaj, he went to the forest, he had material desires, but ultimately by his great performance of tapasya in devotion, Lord Vishnu himself appeared before him, even though he was only 5 years old, a young child, 5 years old. What could he possibly understand? But yet, Lord Vishnu appeared before him, and within his heart, due to his great austerities, such great austerities that he stopped breathing and suffocated the whole universe after a few months. So Narada Muni was very compassionate, and he manifested all these animals in the sky. And he said, these animals are waiting for you to die so that you have to pay back what you have done. You have to receive the karma of killing these animals. Prabhupada mentions in one purport there, Mam Saha means me and he. I will eat him, he will eat me. I will kill him, he will kill me. So the laws of karma are very, very strict. So in order to not be too affrontal with Maharaj Barhishat, Narada Muni gave an analogy about a king named Puranjana. And Puranjana, of course, means one who lives within the city of 9 gates, the body. And he gave this allegory of how Maharaj Puranjana was traveling throughout the world, and he came to a kingdom, a city, and the city had beautiful, very opulent city with beautiful buildings and beautiful gates, 9 gates. And these are the 9 gates of the body: the eyes, the ears, the tongue, the mouth, the rectum, and the procreational instruments, and so on. So he's explaining this as an allegory, and that in the center of the city there is a garden, and the garden represents material desires. Various flowers are being produced, various fruits are being produced. And then, of course, he meets Puranjani, a beautiful woman. That is one's material intelligence. Therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna in the 7th chapter, Kamastastarvitigyana, Prapadyante Nina Devata, Tantam Niyatam Ashtaya, that Prakritya Niyama Aniyatam Swaya, that contaminated intelligence by material fruitive desires. Your intelligence is like a materialistic wife. So Puranjani was very attractive, and she was also attracted to Maharaj Puranjana, and they lived for hundreds and thousands of years, and he was just a slave to this material intelligence, to this Puranjani. And there's a very humorous description that when the queen was happy, he was happy. When the queen was sad, he was sad. When the queen lamented, he lamented. And when the queen sat down, he sat down. When the queen lay down, he lay down. When she ate, he ate. It goes on and on. The husband is the the slave of this beautiful woman, Puranjana, the slave of Puranjani. So these are lessons to us that we have to avoid our materialistic contaminated intelligence. Mode of passion contaminates the intelligence to have material desires, and the material desires are unlimited, and it's simply binding us. Loko yam karma bandhanaha, that the material desires simply bind us to the material world. Loba pavritim aramba karmana shamaspriya. Rajani etani jayanti vrivide bharatarshaba. In the 14th chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna that the symptom of the mode of passion is loba, greed, praviti, hard work. People are working hard day and night, running to work, working in the factories or the office buildings, and driving at breakneck speed every day to go to work, simply to enjoy their senses, simply for sense gratification, and also forgetting that they're spirit soul servant of Krishna. Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Kota Nija Jayo Mayo, Vishachira Pole. That you're sleeping in the lap of the witch called Maya, and you're simply trying to enjoy your senses, which eventually will disappear. So in this way, we learn that in the city of 9 gates, Maharaj Puranjana is enjoying. He forgets the purpose of his life. And then death personified comes, Yamaraj comes. And the sister of Lord Yamaraj is old age, Jara, and she comes. And eventually, the soldiers of Lord Yamaraj attack the city. 360,000 soldiers attack the city and destroy it. So ultimately, the body is destroyed, as Maharaj Yudhisthira told Lord Yamaraj, ahani ahani bhutani gachantiya yamalayam, shesha stavram ichanti, kimascharam ataparam. That ahani bhutani, step by step, every living being, every human, gachantiya yamalayam, has to go and meet Yamaraj, unless they have the holy name of the Lord on their tongue, unless they're chanting the holy name of Krishna, then they have to meet Lord Yamaraj. Shesha Stavramichanti. That this is the greatest wonder in the world. That step by step, everyone is moving towards death. However, no one is thinking, oh, I'm next. Kamala Dala Jala. Jivana Talamala. Govinda Das says that life is just like a bead of water on a leaf. At any moment, that bead of water can fall, and away we go to the next life. Karmana Daiva Nature Jeho Dantu Papataya Strio Pavishtu Madarat Pumsoreta Kanashaya. Depending on one's activities and the hand of God, one takes birth in the next species, in another womb, perhaps in an egg, in different species of life. Purusha Prakriti Stohi, Punkte Prakriti Sadgunan, Karanam Guna Sangosya, Sadasa Joni Janirmashu. That you can take birth in all, take your pick, 8,400,000, 84 lakhs of species, aquatics, insects, animals, humans, demigods, so many species that you can take birth in, depending on your behavior in the human form of life, and so on. I mean, it's described in the third canto here, Kapila Dev's instructions to Devahuti, that, the time of death, the materialistic man, he can't even speak. There's a gura in his throat. He can't tell his relatives, he has so many desires. He thinks that he is the maintainer of his family. Pumsos trio maitani bhava metam tayor eva ride granti mahu ato griha shecho sutapti vitayar janasya mohoyam aham mameti. One is bewildered. This attraction and connection between man and woman, the knot in the heart becomes bigger and bigger. Oh, I have to get my daughters married. I have to take care of that my children all have sufficient money. And in this way, one thinks that he has this great empire that he himself is sustaining, not understanding that Krishna says, Bhoktaram Yagitapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Gatvamam Shantim Richati. That those great sages, they know that I am the supreme object of all sacrifices and austerities and penances, the supreme proprietor of everything that be. And in this way, those great sages can experience peace and happiness. The great Mahatmas Tamam Partam Prakritim, Yina Prakritim Ashraya, Vajanti Ananya Manaso, Gyatva, that these great Mahatmas, these devotees of the Lord, they have crossed this ocean of birth and death and placed their life at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So that is the greatest commitment one can make in life, is surrender everything to Krishna. Machita sarva durgani mat prasada drishyasi atacha tvam ahankaram ashoshasi vinangshasi. In the 18th chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, just become conscious of me. Machita sarva durgani. And then I'll remove all obstacles, all your problems. The problems of birth, death, old age, and disease. The problems of samsara, passing through so many species of life, birth after birth. He says, I remove all of that. If you simply become conscious of me, if we surrender to the great devotees of the Lord like Narada Muni, these great acharyas like Narada Muni and so on. Then we have hopes of going back home, back to Lord Krishna. Otherwise, Nakatikatopi, we're just lost in this world of birth and death. Mamu Pecha Punarjama Dukalayama Shashvatam Naptumanti Mahatmanas Samsidim Paramam Gati. We want to go back to the world where Krishna is constantly dancing with the gopis, where he's constantly herding cows, Sarabi cows, of course, and he's surrounded by Lakshmi Sahasratasa Sambrahma Sevyamanam, surrounded by millions and millions of goddesses of fortune. He has different relationships, friends, Sakirasa, his friends are there, Subal, Sridham, all these different friends are there. And they're all having a relationship with the Supreme Lord, eternal relationship in various flavors, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, Dasya. These are the four primary relationships in Goloka Vrindavan. And Krishna is having exchanges. Even the trees there are assisting the inhabitants of Vrindavan in serving Krishna. They're supplying abundance of fruits and whatever a person wants, Kamadenu. They're supplying, Kalpavriksha, they're supplying all kinds of wonderful gifts to offer to Lord Krishna. Krishna is the center of everyone's affection and devotion. And so this is the place we want to go. This is where we want to go at the time of death. Antakale chamam eva smaran mukta kalevaram. Otherwise, this material world is full of misery and darkness and ignorance, especially here in Kali Yuga. Therefore, Krishna decided to come as the Vadanyaya, Mahavadanyaya avatar. He appears out of his compassion even in Kali Yuga. And he doesn't kill. He doesn't kill the demons like Jaga and Madai, very demonic. The demons are suffering and killing each other anyway in Kali Yuga. Mm-hmm. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu simply gives the mercy. It says in the Adi Lila, I believe chapter 7, that Panchatattva were dancing and chanting in this way. They plundered the storehouse of love of God, and all the various gems and jewels of love of Godhead were taken and given freely to all the fit or unfit inhabitants in Nadia. And they spread this love of God, this ocean of love of God. It was given freely to all the various personalities. Everyone was being drowned in this love of God. Even if they didn't want it, they were given this love of God. Even Amoga, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was so envious of Vaishnavas. He was so envious that he criticized Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Oh, look at you, you're eating enough. Envious. This is the problem. Dvesha means envy. So in the material world, so much envy against different personality, envy against this person, envy against that person. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was laughing, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was feeding Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu nice lunch prasadam, and Amoga came in and criticized Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was chasing his son-in-law with a stick. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's wife said, let Sati become a widow. Let my daughter become a widow. And next day, Amoga got cholera, deadly disease. And he was lying there dying. But Gauranga Mahaprabhu came in and said, touched him, his body, and saved him from death. And said, the heart of a Brahmin should never be filled with envy and jealousy and hate. And then Amoga realized that this is the Supreme Personality of God who I've offended. And he was slapping his mouth. Oh, this mouth has given so much vituperation, so much vile poison against the Supreme Lord. He felt great remorse, and he was forgiven by Lord Chaitanya and was endowed with love of God, even though he had no such qualification. So we can understand that if we engage in the Lord's devotion favorably, if we engage favorably the Lord's service, how much mercy will we receive? We simply have to continue with enthusiasm, patience, and determination. Utsahan vishaya deryat, nischaya deryat, tat karma pravartanat, sangatyagam suto vrite, sadvir bhakti vinashiti. Utsahan, enthusiasm, nischayat. We have to be patient. Rome was not built in a day, as they say in the West. Rome was not built in a day. So patience is very important. We have to avoid offenses to the holy name. We have to avoid the sadhu nishta, offenses to the devotees of the Lord. In fact, to any living being, one should avoid jiva hinsa. This is one of the weeds which can grow in our hearts. Jiva hinsa, or violence, or vituperation, or dislike, or dislike or scorn of other personality, other beings, even innocent living beings. Lord Chaitanya blessed a dog. Shivananda Sena was attached to a dog, and Lord Chaitanya fed this dog some coconut pulp and made the dog chant Hare Krishna and sent him back to the spiritual world. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, let me just be a dog in the house of a Vaishnava. Let me be just a dog in the house of a Vaishnava. So this is the mentality of a devotee. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, let me take birth. I think Lord Brahma said, let me take birth as a piece of grass in Vrindavan so the inhabitants of Vrindavan devotees can step on me. So this is our our determination, our patience, and our enthusiasm required, and adhering to the regulations given by the acharyas, following the footsteps of the great acharyas. Otherwise, the holy name will not have full effect if we don't accept the bona fide Guru Parampara, which has been spread all over the world by Srila Prabhupada himself, with great endeavor and great determination, even in the face of so many reverse conditions, health conditions, heart condition, all these things. Srila Prabhupada prevailed and was greatly determined, writing all these thousands of purports for us, all these books that he wrote. He's an empowered Shaktivish avatar, and we have to take shelter of his lotus feet and not deviate or drift off back into the world of birth and death. So thank you very much for your offering your ears. I hope I could offer something of value to you, and I offer my respects to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear uncle, Kripanidhi Prabhu. So beautiful, sharing your love and wisdom with us as always. And we want to formally recognize we have His Grace Ishwara Prabhu in the Sangha. Ishwara Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Haribo Ishwara Prabhu.
Yes. It is by the kind mercy of Ishwara Prabhu that we got in touch with you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Ishwara Prabhu.
Yeah.
My friend. My good friend in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Send some blessings to me.
Good you're here tonight.
Haribo,
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
you're in Prabhupada's room.
No, it's actually my place.
Oh, this is your, oh, in so many books in the background, it looked like Prabhupada's room there.
Yeah, I know.
Haribo.
Sure, Prabhu, do you have something to share?
Well, I have to give you a class in the next 30 minutes.
Okay, so you may speak before anyone else.
No, I think KRIPANIDHI Prabhu has spoken very wonderfully,
Yeah.
especially about the story of King Puranjana and the Puranjani, which actually apply to all of us. So Nadamuni has nicely explained the journey of the living entities in the material world by narrating these stories to King Prachinabhari by the journey of the living entity. So it's,
You can continue on at 10 o'clock.
no, well, my class is at 10 o'clock, which is, so, a lot of, actually, I remember I was in, I think I was in Delhi. I think I was in Delhi. Whereby I was making reference to this story because they were just in a canto 4, and this instruction of Narmuni to King Prachinabhari was mentioned, and whereby just like in his song Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had composed this song called Dulaba Manava Jama, how the human birth is very, very rare to take. Dulaba Manava Jama, that is very, very rare, but we just don't take advantage. We think that we are here to enjoy and all that. But the old age is gonna come. And when the old age comes, what's gonna happen? So a lot of instruction is there. This story of King Puranjana, it's very, very instructive, which is actually about ourselves. So devotee should read that story again and again. And when you read that story, don't just take it that you are reading some fable. Oh, that's not just a story. No, you have to apply it to yourself because that's what Nadamuni wants. That's what he was telling the King Prachinabhari about this particular. He was telling him about himself. So anyway.
Yeah, and you can carry on the sons of Prachinabhari were the Prachetas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then Narada Muni made them become very, very strict devotees.
Yeah. The potatoes, Narada Muni made them devotees. Yeah.
He forced them, don't follow your father.
Exactly.
So we have to get our children also, like the Prachetas.
Wow, that is if they can. It's in our ISKCON, our children is like to them it's like you are choosing this life, not us. So
Yeah.
it's like you have chosen this, not us, especially we like some of us who join in our teenage years. So the children they say, oh, you are choosing this life. So it's like it's a big challenge, for many, many devotees to get their offspring. So, yeah, of course they are devotee, but not in the same way that as, we have been exposed to practice.
Yeah, we have to, we can't tell them much. We can't preach to our kids. They won't listen.
Yeah, exactly. No.
But we just set the example by our behavior. That's all we can do, Achar. We can't do prachar. We have to do achar only. Don't tell me, Daddy. Don't tell me, Peter.
Yeah,
I know
they will not
everything.
listen. Yeah, they will not listen.
They
Especially
won't listen.
my kid were born in Vrindavan, and they said that
Yeah.
we are Brijabasi. What can you tell us? Because we are born in Vrindavan, so it's like, what can you tell us? We are Brijabasi. You cannot tell us anything.
Exactly.
You can just
Oh,
imagine.
yeah. But they see you're a good example. So that will impress them more than anything. It's just a living example, you know. That's my experience. Just try to be a living example.
Yeah, that is the best preaching. Exactly, the best preaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Prabhuji, thank you so much, Shisha Prabhu and KRIPANIDHI Prabhu. Prabhuji, I have one quick question, which is not directly connected to the text, but it is so nice. I mean, we are all different and we all study differently. And it is nice it's so nice to me when I hear, especially like an Indian-born devotee, speak and quote from the scriptures in Sanskrit or in Bengali language. But it's even much nicer when I hear an Indian devotee speak Krishna Katha and quote from the scriptures in Sanskrit or Bengali. And even much nicer is this person is an Indian devotee and he quotes these scriptures to appropriately support what he or she is talking about from the scriptures and make it more practical for the audience to relate with. So my simple question to you, Prabhuji, is that I'm unable to learn. I would say I'm unable to learn by learning slokas and quoting them whenever I have the opportunity to speak. But whenever you speak, you quote so profusely from here and there, and even though you're quoting so profusely, but they are all related to the theme you are addressing. So my simple question is, how do you think that somebody like me who doesn't know the slokas may want to learn the slokas so that we can use them on our own and also refer to them when we preach it? Because I believe Srila Prabhupada said we should become like lawyers. When a lawyer is in the court, they quote the law book and make references. Hare Krishna, this is my question from Wiki.
I can say that we all have different abilities and, you know, God-given abilities. We're born with things. I always liked languages. That's all. From my childhood, I used to travel through the Caribbean, and they had different languages, like they have Dutch and French and English mainly. And I always picked up. So every devotee is gifted with certain abilities and talents, and we can use those talents in the service of Krishna. I know many advanced devotees that they don't know too many verse slokas. Like I was close with Radhanath Maharaj because I used to meet him in New Vrindavan when I was traveling Sankirtan. I never lived in New Vrindavan, but we'd meet, and he always struck me in brahmachari life. I knew this person is very deeply Krishna conscious, you know. And yeah, he knows some verses, but his realizations are far more profound than mine. He speaks from his heart. That's the one example. There's many examples of many of our leaders who are not, so adequately gifted with Sanskrit or so on, but their deep, heartfelt commitment to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna and their realizations are something that I probably take many lifetimes to get to. But I mean, Prabhupada did say we should at least study his books and be able to explain it nicely. I know some devotees are just expert in using their intelligence how to convince others. They may not know the Sanskrit, but by intelligence they can defeat the doubts of others. But it's just like anything in school. We used to have to memorize stuff. And if you're in a drama or making a movie, they all have to memorize all these lines. Like if you're doing Shakespeare or something, you have to memorize lines. So basically, I just record a verse. I record a verse on my phone, and then I run it back a few times, and that's how I learn. Sound. It's basically when the shlokas are nothing but Shabda Brahman, nothing but sound. So if especially like I'm part African, African people love sound. They're very expert with sound. Music we see in America. So it's the sound that's important, not the word, not the writing on a piece of paper, but to get the phonetics. The phonetics, they will imprint on the memory more than just the visible. The sound is much more important. And I always loved listening to lyrics and so on. As a non-devotee, I love listening to the sound and so on. But like I say, everyone has their own expertise in different areas. You, Sahadev, you have your expertise in organizing the whole of Africa to come online and listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. That's something that I have failed. They made me president in Delhi, president in Montreal. I was a terrible manager. When Gopal Krishna Maharaj recently asked me, when I came to India, come and be a president. I said, no, I'm a terrible manager. Don't ask me to be a manager. So we all have our gifts from Krishna, or by birthrights that we have. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I know your name is KRIPANIDHI Prabhu. So I just wanted to find out what is the difference between Kripa and Karuna? And that is just first question, because you are KRIPANIDHI Prabhu. The difference between Kripa and Karuna. And my main question is, because I remember one time ago when I went out on book distribution, somebody asked me, why do you Hare Krishna people worship cow? And my answer was, we don't worship cow, we only worship Krishna. But here Krishna is asking his father to worship the cow. Most of us are from Christian background, and we are advised or maybe warned by the Lord not to worship anything, anyone other than the Lord. And here, the Lord himself is also asking his father to worship the cow. So what does that mean when one worships the cow? So these are my two questions.
Yeah, when people confront me with that argument, why you worship the cow, basically I say that all life is sacred. So we should have homage and respect for all life. And therefore, we're actually vegetarians. And specifically, the cow is like a mother. And then we go through, we take that scenario. You get milk from your mother, and now you're getting milk from your cow, and so on. Yeah, this is a challenging thing that they do. Why are you worshiping cow? So internally, when we're more inside of the Krishna consciousness, then we understand that all the demigods reside in the cow. Krishna is the lover of the cow and the Brahmins. The cow has been placed on earth, liquid religiosity. Those things you can't really explain to some Christian that comes along and challenges. So I say that all life is sacred. Even in, I had a quote from the Bible. There's a few quotes. One is in Genesis 23 and 24, where it says, "You shall make your meats, the herbs, the herbs and the seeds of the earth." That's in Genesis. In another place in the Bible, devotees made this little pamphlet where it says, one of the quotes is, "He who killeth an ox is as if he slayeth a man." So even in the Bible, there directives for avoiding and embracing being a vegetarian and avoiding the slaughter of a male cow, an ox. So yeah, I always, if Christians confront me, I quote the Bible.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the beautiful answer. I'm gonna be learning from this answer because depending on the audience, we have to be careful how we answer questions. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Madhavan Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, all glory to ACBSP Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, all glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, Madhavan Prabhu, you may go ahead and speak.
That narration, I want to think, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we can hear you.
So, according to this narration, that when Krishna said that Nanda Maharaj should worship the cows and the pasturing field, I think he did that just to provoke Indra, because from the purport, it was explained that the Lord wanted to give a lesson to King of Heaven, Indra. So I start provoking. It should be, if you deny a demigod his worship, and then you now said that same person should now worship cow and pastoring, I believe it's a kind of provocation. And I start to imagine how it could be so provoking, and how King Indra will take such a situation, how it's going to accept it. Hare Krishna.
Sahadev,
I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, you were breaking up, Madhavan Prabhu.
Yeah.
Your connection was quite weak. But
okay, maybe I should leave my audio.
Yeah, turn up, yes, and then go ahead and speak.
So what I'm saying is that in this particular instance, It's like Lord Krishna wanted to provoke Indra because inside the purport, it was explained that the Lord Krishna, wanted to give a lesson to the king of heaven, Indra, asked Maharajnanda to stop the sacrifice offered to Indra. You know, so it's like Krishna wanted to provoke Indra, and that's why, because it's going to be very provoking. If one should stop worshiping the demigod that he has been worshiping normally, and then now to worship cow, you know, the demigod will see it as an insult, and maybe through that way, Krishna wants to deal with Indra. I think that's why he recommends that specific worship at that particular point in time.
Okay, I'll try to repeat what you said.
Okay.
KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, what Madhava Prabhu is saying is that from the direction of Krishna telling his father not to worship Indra but to worship the cow, he is saying that in the purport, Srila Prabhupada states that Lord Krishna wanted to teach Indra a lesson. And because Lord Krishna wanted to teach Indra a lesson, Lord Krishna asked his father to worship the cow, which will appear very insulting to Indra. So more or less, Krishna was agitating Indra. So in that particular moment, he thinks that is why Krishna asked his father to worship the cow. So if you have something to share in that regard.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome, Hare Krishna.
Yes, worshiping the cow and also Govardhan Hill. In the purport, it says, worshiping the cow and the pasturing ground on the hill of Govardhan. So not just the cow, but also a hill. So yeah, in a sense, that would get under the skin of Lord Indra. What? Don't they know who I am? I'm the king of heaven. Don't they know who I am? So Krishna's very expert in exposing the false ego and smashing the false ego of his devotees. That's his mercy. So here he's using the worship of a lesser creature, not a demigod, the cow or the hill of Govardhan, to incite the anger and false pride of Indra, to induce that anger and false pride of Indra. So I agree with that idea. I mean, I'm sure the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and other commentators, there's many backstories and side stories when we hear the Bhagavad Purana. I heard from one devotee who has read some of the Puranas, Vishwanath Chakravarti would mention that Govardhan Hill had not really been in the association of Krishna for many yugas, like previous Satya Yuga. And so Govardhan Hill was developing some dust and dirt on the hill. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had mentioned that he arranged for Indra to send the Samvartaka clouds with huge rainfall to wash and clean Giri Govardhan. That's one explanation that I heard from Amarendra Prabhu in his class. That there were other backstories and side stories so, that he had. One was Krishna was sneaking off to meet Chandravali, who was the competitor of Radharani. And as he was climbing past Govardhan Hill, he was walking on Govardhan Hill to get to Chandravali. Govardhan said, "Where are you going? Where are you going, Krishna? What's going on here?" Krishna says, "Shh, don't tell Radharani's team. I have to go and meet Chandravali." And Govardhan said, "Nothing doing. I'm on Radharani's team. Nothing doing. You do that, I will tell Radharani." So Krishna's footprints were there. Govardhan said, "I'll show Radharani your footprints." And so the acharyas say that Krishna arranged for Indra to come and wash away his footprints to get rid of the evidence, to eliminate the evidence that he was sneaking off as a debauchee. You know, Krishna is the player and the debauchee, with the gopis. That was another explanation I heard from Amarendra Prabhu.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure there's a side story here that worship the cow and worship Govardhan, the king of all hills, king of all mountains, Giri Govardhan,
Yeah.
and the cow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
speak.
thank you so much. Madam Prabhu, thank you for your insight, and His Grace KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, thank you for the explanation. All these other revelations to the same story makes our philosophy or our Siddhanta so beautiful, that it's not just like one straight jacket quote. It has different patterns, yet it's the same thing. Anyone else with something to ask or share before Prabhuji leaves for the day? Prabhuji is here, so he's
by
not
the way,
late. Hare Krishna, Thakur Murari.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
please accept my obeisances.
Thakur Prabhu, please hold on for a minute. Since Ishara Prabhu wants to say something quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just before
Prabhu.
I leave, you had
Yeah.
asked earlier, KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, that the difference between a Kripa and Karuna.
Yes.
So KRIPANIDHI means the ocean of mercy. Kripa
Yeah.
means mercy. Nidhi
Yeah.
means the ocean. So Prabhu here is the ocean of mercy, which you are getting.
Yes.
So Kripa and Karuna is the compassion. So
Compassion.
the compassionate, that's what it is. So Prabhu, KRIPANIDHI Prabhu is both, is the ocean of mercy, is also very compassionate. So therefore, yes, we can do all this.
It's amazing how oftentimes the devotees live up to their names. Yes, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Ishara Prabhu. Thakur Murari Prabhu, please, you may go ahead and unmute.
Yes,
Hare
Krishna. Please
Hare
accept
Krishna.
my obeisances. I'll go to Srila Prabhupada. And as usual,
Where's
an
Prabhupada?
appreciation to the speaker for the presentation. And we all welcome the Prabhupada's disciple.
Yes.
Yeah, so although we are disabled, we are eternally grateful for those first generation disciples. You know, did a lot of good work for us to belong. So thank you, Prabhu, for your presentation. And just to say, the stories about Indra is always so intriguing in the sense that although we know backstories, but we are saying that a story about Indra messing around with the moon, his wife. You know, Indra.
Gautama Muni.
Gautama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indra trying to steal the cow that his horse, yes, that Prithu Maharaj was doing the sacrifices. And so it's, I don't know, what is there to learn from the Indra's mood? Because, you know, usually he has yes, because if you look at all those stories, Krishna, you know, took some valuable stuff to Indra, yes, you know, when I passed them, but when Krishna took Parijata flower or the tree, he wanted to fight. And no, I'm saying that somebody so powerful brought those things to you and you're going to want to fight that person. So is there something we can learn from Indra's his mood, because he's usually doing something that he has to be apologizing for. So that's my so that's my input.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I hope you got this question.
I didn't quite catch it.
Okay, of course, first of all, he expressed his appreciation and gratitude for you speaking today, and also expressed special appreciation to you all direct disciples of Sri Prabhupada, because it's by your mercy that all of us are here today. Because we did not meet Sri Prabhupada in person, but like Ishwara Prabhu was saying, and I think you yourself, you were saying that the best teacher is our own lifestyle, our life experience. So we see your life experience and we get motivated to try to practice. But his question after addressing his appreciation is, what do we learn from this mood of Indra? Because there are so many instances where Indra will be engaging in activities that are not suitable for devotees, or for, even on Earth planet, you say for like civilized human beings, but Indra engages in these acts. So what do we as devotees learn from the mood of Indra? Like, you talked about Gautama. He disguised himself to have an affair with Gautama's wife, and he had to be cursed. When Krishna, Rukmini asked Krishna, she wanted the Parijata flower, and Krishna wanted to go get it. Indra was ready to fight Krishna. Indra was ready to fight Krishna when Krishna asked his father. So in a brief, what do we learn from the mood of Indra?
Yeah, he's a colorful character. Very colorful. And it shows, mixed devotional service can get you in trouble. False pride, of course. Lust, of course. When Gautama Muni was marrying his wife, I forgot her name, but Indra was at the wedding. And of course, he's much younger than Gautama Rishi. So he noticed that the wife was a little distracted by the young girl. She was quite attracted to Indra, even during the wedding. Indra also he killed the Brahmin, Vishwarup, who was making some secret offerings to the demons as well as the demigods. We hear about that pastime, where he cut the 3 heads off of Vishwarup. And then, of course, he had a war battle with Virabhadra, I believe his name is. Maharaj Chitraketu was cursed by Lord Shiva's wife, Sati, to take birth as a demon. But actually, Virabhadra Prabhupada said in the Purva that he was actually a devotee, and Indra was acting like more of a demon. So the lessons are being learned here, that devotional service, which is tarnished by the mode of passion or the mode of ignorance, by lust or envy or false ego, is not so pleasing to the Lord. And these examples are guiding us towards Vishuddha Sattva, or devotional service which is untarnished by the modes of passion and ignorance and even goodness, Vishuddha Sattva, transcendental. So we should not be distracted by these these qualities that may infiltrate into our consciousness as we go on in devotional service for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We have to keep navigating through all the different enticements of Maya and navigate to and keep on our mind on the goal, which is pure devotional service. Sudha Prema Bhakti or Sudanam, pure chanting of the holy name. Aparada Gucci, Sudanami Ruchi, Kabihabi Bolo Sedin Amar, giving up all types of offenses and tasting the holy name, Sudanami Ruchi. That is what we're aspiring for, and not being distracted or deviated by by Maya. Even Lord Brahma was influenced by the mode of passion and became attracted to his own daughter. You know, what to speak of us? Indra himself, you know, influenced by the mode of passion. Of course, rainfall, Krishna mentions in this Leela of Govardhan Hill, the rainfall comes from the mode of passion. And so Indra, in charge of rainfall, is influenced by this Rajagun, you know, and he gets into a lot of trouble. But then he rectifies and reforms. So we have to reform ourselves if we get off the track. We come off track, and we have to reform ourselves and bring ourselves back on Suddha Sattva, Vishuddha Sattva, on trying to attain pure devotional service. So, yeah, that would be my reflection on this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the beautiful response. Shri Govinda, Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Gurudev. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to you.
Hare
And
Krishna.
again, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. You touched so many limbs of our philosophy, and again reminded us how important it is for one to be to become a devotee of Lord Krishna. So you made some of us rejoin the movement today. And so I first thank you very, very much for the wonderful presentation. I have two questions, and I'll make it very brief. The first question will be, Dhruva Maharaj performing austerities and for the Lord to appear before him. It is said that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhakti Amama Bijananti. It's only by devotional service can I be known. And so Krishna cannot be known through austerities. So if one thinks that he's very austere, and so Krishna will look at him because of his austerity, that is a lie. And then two, in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, there are 10 offenses that should be guided against the chanting of Lord Krishna's holy name. And the last offense to that is that one should not maintain a material attachment while chanting these holy names of the Lord. And so it is an offense for one to maintain material attachment when we try to call the names of Krishna. And we see that Dhruva Maharaj was attached to his material desires. And then, so that disqualifies him, even though he was chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, but he was attached to the holy, to his material desires. And two, Krishna says, you cannot attract me by your austerity. And Dhruva Maharaj was so austere. And so both that austerity and his chanting of the holy name and the purpose behind his chanting and his austerity are all disqualification. So I'm wondering how he was able to attract Lord Vishnu, even though he was chanting and being austere, but his heart was somewhere else. And then my second question is that you also touch of the spiritual world, that Krishna is the center of attraction to the denizens of Braja. So I'm wondering how are the living entities in the spiritual world relate to Krishna? In what form does Krishna expand himself and then and interact with these people in the spiritual world? Or how did they see Krishna? How did they interact with him? Hare Krishna.
Well, I haven't been to the spiritual world yet, so. But we know that Krishna, when he danced with the gopis, he expanded himself thousands of times, thousands.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, there's a description that when Radharani got in her chariot to go to where Krishna was having pastimes with Viraja, Viraja is a very youthful gopi. She was accompanied by her friends. How many friends? 600 million friends. Sakis went with her in her super large chariot, which traveled at the speed of the mind. This is all described in a different Purana, which Amarenja was describing. So, okay, the first question about tapasya. Well, Dhruva Maharaj's mother said, you go to the forest because you find Vishnu there. And Vishnu can fulfill all desires. We know that verse, Akama Sarvakamo Va Moksha Kamo Udaradi. Even if you have material desires, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, Yajita Purusha Param. And Krishna says in the Gita, Yat Kuroshi Yat Ashnasi Yat Jahosi Jadasi Yat Tapasvasi Kuntaya. She's saying, if you do austerities, do them for me. That's here in the Gita. Right after he says, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, Yome Bhakti Prayachati, Tadaham Bhakti Paritam. So he's telling Arjuna that whatever you do, whatever you eat, offer, give away, as well as whatever austerities you perform, should be done as a service or sacrifice to me. So Dhruva Maharaj was in Satya Yuga. And in Satya Yuga, Prabhupada says in one verse, he quotes quite a bit, Krite yad dhyayato Vishnum, that in Satya Yuga, person would perform heavy austerities and meditation on Vishnu for thousands of years, thousands, tens of thousands of years, because they lived for such long times. Certain, is described that certain kings, the Prachetas themselves, they performed austerities in the ocean for 10,000 celestial years. So you can, in certain ages, austerity is a way, tapasya is a way to, for that particular yuga. But then, of course, this verse that Lord Chaitanya quotes and Prabhupada quotes is that Krite yad dhyayato Kalir yad dhyayato Hari. That in Kali Yuga, the Dharma, the way of going back to Krishna or developing our love of God or self-realization is simply the Dari Hari Kirtanat, Kalir Yad Hari Kirtanat, simply chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is our austerity in the age of Kali and the practice of the 4 principles. So that was your first question. So we have to discriminate between sacrifice for, like Hiranyakashipu, he's doing big yagya, big tapasya. Hiranyakashipu did huge tapasya to kill Vishnu and become immortal and get rid of the worship of God. He was doing tapasya. That is prohibited. That is not conducive for going back to Krishna or loving Krishna. Yeah, so many tapasvis, as Lord Chaitanya rejected the tapasvis. But if we do some tapasya in the service of the Lord, fasting on Ekadasi, fasting on Janmashtami, denying, the pleasures of the tongue, of course, that is in the service of Krishna, devotional service. So yes, that's how we have to understand it. So the second question you had was about the spiritual world. How is Krishna reciprocating with all his devotees? Krishna, he expanded himself effortlessly in 16,108 palaces with 16,108 queens, just to show his unlimited opulence, his glories. Yad yad vibhuti mat satvam shrimat urditam evava tata eva vagachatvam mamo tejam sasambhava. That all these wonderful things Arjuna was shown in the universe of form. Krishna said, that's just a little spark of my splendor, just a little spark of the fire. It's nothing. So Krishna can do whatever he likes in the spiritual world. With his Shaktis, he expands for all the cowherd boys. They all thought that when they were having lunch in the forest, Krishna was sitting in the center of a circle of cowherd boys, and they all thought Krishna was looking at them. He did a mystic magic miracle that everyone, doesn't matter where they were sitting, saw Krishna's beautiful, wonderful, beautiful face, color of a dark monsoon cloud, eating little sweet rice and fruit. Lord Chaitanya also performed a miracle during the Ratha Yatra. He was dancing in ecstasy, surrounded by 7 kirtan groups, and they all thought that he was in their group, and they all thought he was dancing with them in their group. But actually, it was just a miracle, a mystic miracle. So in this way, in the spiritual world, I'm sure Krishna can expand and satisfy all his devotees simultaneously. The gopis were thinking, oh, I'm dancing with Krishna by myself in the rasa dance. They're not realizing that Krishna is dancing with each gopi simultaneously. So that is the mystic power of Krishna. He is Yogeshwara, the Lord of all mystics. So, of course, I've never recently been able to get much insight into the spiritual Goloka Vrindavan, but we can learn from scripture, descriptions in the Brahma Samhita, and so on, that Krishna has the power and the capacity to satisfy millions and trillions of his devotees simultaneously. He had 999,000 cows to herd every day at the age of 6, Marsnanda's cows, and he called each one by their name. So he has unlimited memory too. It's not like he has a computer with limited memory. His data bank is unlimited, and each name of the cow he would call each cow singularly. 999,000. What to speak of, other things that he does. So This is the unlimited Shakti of Krishna. Yes.
So beautiful.
Simultaneously.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. See, there was
Thank you.
this young girl who was very smart. You know, Bob Marley. Bob Marley says, "Some people play smart without being clever." This young lady was very smart. She was scoring A's in all her class exams. So at some point, she became a little disrespectful to her middle-aged mom. And the middle-aged mom reminded her, he says, "Listen to me, my loved one. When I graduated, when I was going to school, and I graduated with A's, there were no Siri, there were no Alexa, there were no Google." So as you were talking about, I'm sharing this because when you were talking about Gautama and you were trying to recollect the name of the wife. So I just checked online and I got the name Ahalia. So
yes.
yes, I'm saying this so people would know, I will understand that I don't know, but it's by the mercy of Google.
We have
By the
Google.
mercy of Google, yes. So, Prabhuji, this is so interesting that you talked about this Gautama, because Ahalia, she knew that Indra had disguised himself as her husband. She knew, yet he allowed herself for Indra to sleep with her, and her reason was that she had to serve her husband's guest nicely, which is, excuse my language, kind of weird. And so I think Gautama had every right to curse her. So these pastimes, sometimes you don't really, like Murari Prabhu was saying, what do we learn from all these ill behaviors of Indra? And what, like Ahalya, what do we learn from? I don't know. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, well, Ahalya, Srila Prabhupada said many places, the women have a weaker tendencies. Chanakya Pandit said a woman is 8 times more lusty than man, 6 times more bold, I think 4 times more hungry, like this. So in the Bhagavad Gita, of course, Kapila Dev's Bhagavatam, Kapila says, Balavan Pasyamaya Strimayo Jaino. You see the power of Maya in the form of a woman. Just by the raising of her eyebrows, Bhuvi Jimbrena, raising of her eyebrows, she can bewilder the mind of a man. So there's many verses like this. So women have to be protected. And Prabhupada said that also that Krishna is injected within the psyche of a woman the quality of shyness. The women are naturally, I think Chanakya Pandit said, 9 times more shy. So shyness, Prabhupada said, is a control valve in human society. Chanakya Pandit also says that Strinam Rupam Pativratam, that the beauty of a woman is her loyalty to her husband. That will protect human society. That will protect everyone. So women have to acknowledge that they have, they have this attractive feature, this energy, this Maya energy, and so it has to be kept in check. It has to be kept control. So Ahalya, she got overly attracted by the influence of Maya and lust. She wanted Lord Indra because he was very young and handsome. and the husband that she was marrying, Gautama, was an old rishi. So again, the lesson is also that, be very careful. Be careful of the mind. Chanchala himana Krishna pramati. The mind is chanchal, is restless, Chanchala. Pramati balavad. It's also very impetuous. We see Indra is extremely impetuous. At the drop of a hat, he goes off and tries to rape some woman. He tries to seduce some woman. He's very, he's very chanchala. His mind is like that, influenced by passion. So yeah, Ahalya is giving this. We're seeing that women have this weakness. They're easily seduced by rich men with money. We see women will be easily taken in by wealthy men. There's these weaknesses there. So the strong Krishna conscious husband will protect the chaste wife, and her beauty is in her chastity, Janaki Pandit says. And she becomes Ratna Srinam. Ratna means a diamond or a sapphire or a ruby, a jewel, a precious gem. Ratna Srinam, one who is a woman who is extremely self-controlled and takes shelter of her husband or her son in old age. Then she's like a diamond for society. She's a precious gem for society. And our daughters, we have to protect them and instill within them these qualities of chastity and fidelity and loyalty, which in Western society is hardly found, very rare to find these qualities in women. Of course, men are eager to exploit the women in the Kali Yuga. So we see this going on in society. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Except Shrimavara Prabhu has something to say. Shrimavara Prabhu, please give me on mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance, Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much. It's very enlightening listening to you. My comment or question. It's been about actually it runs through most of the discussion. First, when Ishwara Prabhu was speaking, and then he raised the point that it's difficult to make our children become devotees like us. And anyone listening to that might think there's something wrong in the system. Then the questions being asked about what lessons do we learn from Indra's impetuous behaviors. So, and the same thing running through my mind is Vanashram. And reason why Prabhupada emphasized Vanashram. First and foremost, devotees, we became devotees like monks, live in the temple, follow strictly, instructions and working for the mission. This is not the standard for being a devotee. This is another level. It's like monastery kind of life, and we cannot use that to judge our children. Whether they become devotee on that way or not. Otherwise, we would be saying that children of Brahmanas should be Brahmanas. It's not the case in Varnashram system. So, and then the lesson to learn from Indra, I think that is also another thing about Varnashram. It's very interesting to know that Indra, with all his faults, he was actually not being punished from here and there, but it was actually not condemned like he has to go to hell or something like that. Like it was like thinking, okay, it's just its nature or something. So I think the lesson I'm learning from that is that we cannot, and that is also what we learn from the Vedas. We do not judge everyone in society in the same barometer. So here is a king, and he has his tendencies to want to enjoy. He has power, and he wants to use it. He wants to enjoy. So, and it's like kind of understood for him, even though it's a fault, but it's understood. It's just like Krishna says, every endeavor there is a fault. Brahmanas have their fault, everything. So, I think that is the lesson to learn that we have to understand how not to judge everyone based on the same barometer. You know, thinking everyone has to be on the level of Siddha Sattva. That is what Varnashram has to teach us. That, we have to understand people according to their status in the society and the kind of mode they are functioning in. So this is just about the little contribution I want to make. And probably if you have something to say, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a deep understanding of Krishna consciousness, Varnashram. Prabhupada wants to establish Varnashram because, like you're saying, some people have a tendency to be a Sudra. Some people have a tendency to be a Vaishya. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He wasn't performing Brahmin activities. Shama Dhamma Tapaso Cham Shantirajvam. He didn't do that. Prabhupada said he didn't chant 16 rounds. He was fighting for Krishna as a Kshatriya. He was a warrior. So his Dharma was obviously different from a Brahmin Dharma. But one who centers on Krishna, whether he's doing Sudra, qualities of Sudra, which means serving the higher classes, which means labor, etc. Striyo Vaishyastata Sudras, Tepiyanti Paramgatim. They can also be advanced devotee and actually become a guru. Even a Sudra, one who may be engaged in Sudra activity. But if he's very, very Krishna conscious, there's no restriction on him becoming a guru. Tat karma nipano vipro mantra tantra visharada vaisnavanasa. So many people may know many mantras, do yagyas, cultivate the mode of goodness, be scholarly, study so many different literatures, so many Puranas, Upanishads, but he may fall short of his devotion to Krishna. So he's rejected by Lord Chaitanya. And even if he's born in a family of dog eaters, that verse, Vaishnavanam Swapacho Guru, he may be coming from a dog-eating family, but engaging in devotional service with a view to please Krishna under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, then he can become qualified to be a spiritual master, a guru. Vachavegam, Manasakoda Begam, Jiva Begam. If he's so Krishna conscious, he's so involved in Krishna consciousness that his mind, his words, his belly, his genital, all the 6 pushings are all controlled because he's on Krishna, completely absorbed in Krishna, then he's qualified to be a guru. Ramananda Roy was not a Brahmin. He was considered Kayasta, which was Sudra. So this is the real understanding, the real Siddhanta that Lord Chaitanya is coming to teach. Gokashodat Babaji, he couldn't even write on a piece of paper. He couldn't read. But who's his disciple? The greatest scholar of the times, the greatest scholar of the time, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a living encyclopedia, is how he was described. So the Varnashram means Striyo Vaishyas. If you're even a body of a woman, Janava Devi, she is such a great acharya She had many, many exalted disciples. She's in the body of a woman. Where does that fit into, this caste system, this concept of casteism, which sometimes even contaminates the Hare Krishna movement? Oh no, she's a woman. She shouldn't initiate disciples, so on and so forth. Controversies come up. But Srila Prabhupada, he implemented Krishna consciousness in a very practical way. The girls were given Brahmin initiation. He gave them Brahmin initiation. He could see that in the West, girls and boys are treated equally. Girls can go out and distribute his books, go out and preach, and be gurus. Vartmana Padarshika Guru is one of the 3 gurus. And they can give shiksha also. They can give instructions from the Puranas, Bhagavad Purana, and Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada never said that women should not be gurus. In fact, Lord Nityananda's wife was the Acharya when the Panchatattva, when they left the planet, when Nitai and Gauranga left the planet. Who was the successor Acharya? Was Janava Devi. She had many disciples, very exalted disciples. So this is the Daivi Varnashram. We transcend the caste conscious Smarta Brahmins, who can quote so many verses and all this, but they have no devotion to Krishna. The wives of the Brahmins, they were running to feed Krishna Balaram. And the ritualistic Brahmins were just chanting and doing yagya and all this, and forgetting the goal, which is to love God. But their wives were running to serve and please Krishna and feed him. So there we have it. That's the underlying Siddhanta of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Sometimes when we have devotees like your humble self speak, it helps lots of us a lot, because what you just said, we had discussed this a few days ago on this very platform. And says if you have like 2, 3 different sources saying the same thing, then you are doing the right thing. So for you to speak almost the same as we spoke, but actually yours is much deeper and much sweeter, makes us understand that Guru and Krishna, they're helping us. We're getting some insights and understanding, because especially in becoming a sannyasi in ISKCON today, if you happen to be like Gaur Kishore Das Babaki, then you probably will never become a sannyasi. But yeah, but like you already said, his disciple was like the encyclopedia of the entire universe, and he was ready to commit suicide if he did not get his mercy. So thank you so much for sharing this. And we may have to bring this to an end, because as humble as you are ready to serve, but we're also concerned about your time, because you're in India, it's quite late, your time.
Yeah.
And we can't thank you enough. And we hope to have your association more and more and more. In the near future.
I'm also hoping for your association. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much. So dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute. And you see, we're all going to get unmute, and we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our dearest uncle. One thing I said, Prabhuji is Kripa, his wife is of Karuna. So is it
Hare
that
Krishna.
divorce?
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Hare. Hare
Ram
Rama, Hare
Ram.
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Yes, Prabhu.
All brothers to Karuna Mayi Devi Mata Ki Jam.
Jai.